Здравейте, приятели!
Hello, friends! Today we'll show you a repair of shock absorbers
От Mercedes
and air springs from a Mercedes GLC X253.
автомобила
The car is 4MATIC 4-wheel drive and has air suspension.
въздушно окачване. Това е въздушната възглавница, вече размонтирана.
This is the front air spring. It has a dual chamber construction.
Двукамерна. Упражнявайки тук
When we apply electric current to this solenoid valve,
ток, се отваря вътрешната
the
камера.
inner chamber opens, which is located inside this section.
По-интересно да се знае, амортисьорите са почти идентични.
An interesting fact is that the shocks are almost identical to those on the E-Class but with a small difference in length. Here I've compared two shocks.
GLC амортисьор с такъв от 213.
One from the GLC with one from the W213. The W213 unit is slightly shorter. When you install an E-Class W213 shock
На
on a Mercedes GLC X253, it starts to knock badly because it's fully extended and
теглен. И когато е до край разтеглен,
in that position it hits the rebound stop. The rod is at full extension.
това е задния.
This is the rear shock absorber. Everyone's complaint is knocking.
Амортисьори е оттропане.
We'll put it on the dyno to determine exactly what the problem is.
Е проблема и след това
And then we'll open it so you can see what's inside.
вътре. Амортисьор е дело на
The
Bilstein.
shock is made by Bilstein and uses the DampTronic Sky system,
Новичета, при които
where the stiffness of the shock can be adjusted steplessly.
променят твърдостта на съпротивление. Това е газ.
This is the gas reservoir. The compensating gas chamber is here.
Камера. При всички 4x4
On all 4X4 versions with Bilstein, the shock looks exactly like this.
пускаме
We're starting a dynamometer test
личен тест, за да видим какво мора амортисьора.
to see what condition the shock is in.
Преди да го
The shock is from a relatively new car and it was not leaking.
относително нов автомобил не беше изтеглен.
As we can see, the graph is good and symmetrical.
Виждаме, има и добра и симетрична графика.
That's a good sign.
Тестваме го
We're testing it in sport mode, in the firm setting.
твърд режим.
Its graph is stable, but while driving there's knocking.
Оплакването, докато се караш, обаче беше оттропане. И сигурно
You can probably hear it right now as well.
това е интересно.
An interesting case where, despite a good dyno graph, there's a persistent knocking noise. We'll open it to see what's causing the problem. There's probably something broken inside.
Вътре има нещо.
The hydraulic section is fine, but there may be a damaged spring or an issue in the valve body.
Дали нещо поклапано в тяло.
We've opened both rears, and here we also have a front unit.
Това е лудница. Това са много амортисьорите. Отворили сме двата задни.
These are the shock rods. They move and create resistance,
Това са стеблата. на амортисьора.
with hydraulic oil passing through these orifices. One of the main issues is this guide.
Като през тези дупки мина.
Every shock has a guide with a bushing, into which the oil seal is press-fitted.
Водач,
As we've shown in other videos, and we'll repeat here,
който
we use an optimized type of guide. It's serviceable, made from an improved alloy,
в други видеа сме показали, така и в това.
much more durable and harder to damage. The oil seal is also not press-fixed but replaceable, and it can always be changed when needed. This solution is not only higher quality,
Не стига, че е по-добре на сплав и много по-трудно се разбира.
but also much more eco-friendly. For any future repair, it will be significantly cheaper. Because the entire component doesn't need replacing, the shock becomes serviceable.
И много
This is a sustainable and sensible solution for the future.
за бъдещето, защото при бъдещ ремонт клиента ще заплати изключително ниска сума, защото
We'll also service the DampTronic Sky system.
отделно
This is the solenoid valve that controls stiffness.
профилактираме DampTronic Sky система.
We'll show you how, after the repair, everything operates properly in the shock's control. The adaptive functions and the electronics. Everything works flawlessly.
След ремонта как
Let's not forget the separator.
управлението на амортисьора и адаптивните функции работи
The
безопасно.
separator divides the gas nitrogen from the oil. On the rear, shock sits at the bottom.
Сепаратора дели
And on the fronts, in the gas chamber, on separators, the O-ring always wears out.
амортисьори, стои тук.
And when it wears, the gas and oil mix.
Предните амортисьори е в газовата камера. При сепараторите винаги се износят.
which leads to foaming and the shock starts to knock.
И когато се
We'll replace the necessary parts. Fill the shock with fresh oil.
амортисьорът започва да тропа, защото маслото
We'll eat it
формата на пяна. Това е
and show you how everything works after the repair. After that, we'll also demonstrate the repair
напълним с масло, ще го обезвъздушим и ще ви
of the air spring.
действат нещата. Отделно, след това ще покажем и как се ремонтира въздушната възглавница на такъв автомобил. Пускаме
We're running a final dynamometer test of the shock after the repair
след ремонт.
to show you that it works flawlessly, no knocking.
Че работи безупречно, не чука, не тропва. И
And at the same time, we'll show you that after our repair, the system 4,
темата за втвърдяване и омекотяване на
stiffening and softening the shock functions perfectly,
чисто нов, оригинален такъв.
just like on a brand new original shock. It's important after every repair
Адаптивните функции
that the shock's adaptive functions work to preserve the comfort and
на автомобила ви
safety of the vehicle.
предвидил производителя.
The graph is perfectly symmetrical and there's no knocking or clunking. Now we'll start a manual test.
Тест, за да демонстрираме нещата.
Where we can see the resistance it creates during
Тук виждаме съпротивление
compression and rebound.
и разгъване при bounce и rebound. При промяна управление
When we change the current to the solenoids, it becomes softer and even softer. And this happens in real time in your car when the computer controls the shock.
това нещо
It can make it very firm or very soft.
компютър управлява амортисьора. Може да го направи много твърд или много мек.
And that's the difference from aftermarket shocks.
Китайските амортисьори с aftermarket амортисьорите.
You should know that not a single aftermarket shock has properly working adaptive function. Only an original shock gives you these characteristics.
И промяната на твърдостта. Тоест, само
We also showed the front shock,
оригинален амортисьор, вие имате тези качества на амортисьора. Показах.
but as I mentioned, we're doing the others as well. Here are the rears. We won't put them on the test is exactly the same and there's no need to make the video longer.
Абсолютно същия, да не става.
Now we'll finish the air spring.
Сега ще довършим и възглавницата. Вече едната сме направили.
One of them is already done. Briefly about the air spring.
Винаги, когато се
Whenever a shock is repaired, it's good to service the air spring as well, because in most cases the shock leaks hydraulic oil,
тича, хидравлично,
which attacks the air spring's rubber. Here, even this one is slightly oily.
даже тази е лекомазна,
When the rubber is attacked, the air spring will burst.
гумата, възглавницата ще се спука.
It's important to replace the top mount with a new one.
Смени тампонът. Ето, нов тампон. Така наречен.
The so-called top mount. This mount sits right here,
Ето тук на това място в горната
at the top, in the air spring's upper console.
на възглавницата. И ако не се смени този тампон, много
If it isn't replaced, knocking often remains, because the noise may come from this mount.
когато ремонтираме възглавницата,
When we repair air springs, we always use a special rubber sleeve,
създаден специално,
which is designed especially for us and manufactured to our order,
да можем да
so we can control and guarantee the quality of every single component.
елемент от вашето въздушно окачване. Ще ги съберем.
We'll assemble everything and install it back on the vehicle.
Тези амортисьори и възглавници са готови.
These shocks and air springs are now ready for a long new life. Thank you for your attention.